Will you please welcome back, a warm welcome for Steve Nallon.
Cheers. You know, one of the great things about being an impressionist is that, you know, when it comes to television, you can actually invent your own television programs. I mean, you can have your own celebrity, Big Brother. Dear one, Big Brother house. Alan Bennett is making himself known to the other inmates. I was born in Leeds. The time, 1934, which in those days was just gone 7:30.
Is that what an impressionist does is create the voice by creating two aspects of the voice. First of all, there is what I would call the technical sound of the voice. The pitch, the tone, the rhythm, the intonation. This is all the technical side. Now, technically with Thatcher, what you have to do to create Thatcher's voice, there is a very slight tightening of the voice there. But it's actually created here. In the very front of the mouth is where it's actually created. If you take the voice of Anne Widdecombe, the voice of Anne Widdecombe is not a tightening, it's a grab. She grabs the larynx and completely controls it. The actual shape of the voice isn't here. It's actually a little bit further back, but it's louder. In a way, though, I wouldn't say none of that matters, but it's not as important as attitude. You've got the technical side of the voice, but actually, for a voice to really work, what you've got to do is capture the attitude. And here I want to make a distinction between what the actor does and what an impressionist does. What the impressionist is trying to do is capture the attitude of a character through the voice. What the actor is trying to do is reveal the thought processes of a person through what is said. They're similar, but slightly different. And the difference is that what an actor is doing is constantly changing. Because what the actor is trying to do is reveal the thought process that changes. What the impressionist is trying to do is capture the attitude that is consistent. And the great thing about consistency in a voice and in a character is that once you have consistency, you have the capacity to create a great comic character, because they'll always revert to type. A very quick gag, which I used to do in the 80s, people used to ask me what, as Thatcher, they used to say, you know, how do you relax? How do you relax? I used to say, do you know, ladies and gentlemen, do you know, I often watch television, and I'm a very big fan. I really enjoy the two Ronnies. I love the two Ronnies. But do you know, even though I laugh at the two Ronnies, I often wonder, could one Ronnie do the job just as well? Isn't there a touch of overmanning there? And there you see the point, that once you've got an attitude, no matter what that character does, you take that attitude to it.
And listen, I thought I'd do a thing where I'll show you how to do the impression. I'll show you how to do the impression. It'll be fun to do. You see, with a certain voice, what you can do is you can take ingredients of one voice and mix them with another. So I'm going to take the ingredient of one and mix it with B, and listen, it's like a recipe. I shall get Delia Smith to take you through it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this evening I am going to show you how you can make the voice of Fozzie Bear from the Muppets. Now, the first thing you need is something to give you the rough, gruff texture of the Fozzie Bear growl. For that, I'm going to use the deep, full-bodied voice of Darth Vader from Star Wars.
Luke, I am your father. In Lion King, I was Simba's father too. What a slut I was.
So once you have your deep, full-bodied voice, you then need a good up and down rhythm to go with it. And with that up and down rhythm, I'm going to use the voice of Homer from The Simpsons.
Yeah, Mike. My up and down rhythm is now going to be added to Darth Vader. dark side to see if I turn into Fozzie Bear.
Right, let's not get to the Muppets. What about Kermit the Frog? Well, you know, as a frog, I would hope I would be kissed and turned into a handsome prince. Unfortunately, my voice only turns into Woody Allen, really, you know. No, wait a minute. No, wait. This is so weird, you know. I mean, you know, who am I now, you know? Am I me, or am I, Kermit doing me, or Steve being Kermit, impersonating Woody Allen, you know? This routine, it reminds me of my later movies. You know? A great idea, but could do with a better joke.
The music box is, for me, the funniest half hour I've ever seen. Getting the piano up that hill, as a kid I used to watch it, and I still watch it today, and it's still funny.
Would you gentlemen please let me pass?
Oh, just the number of ways they found to get this piano back down and then get it back up again. It was just side-splitting. It was wonderful.
And what makes it even funnier is the punchline.
All you had to do was to drive around that road to the top here.
That there's a road that could take them round the back.
Why didn't we think of that before?
Proper straight man and comedian in a way. Sid was so thin and Eddie large. It's called Eddie Large for a reason.
Although technically Sid was the taller man, Eddie just weighed more, but narrow and wide didn't quite have the same ring.
I was working with them and it got to lunchtime and Eddie had to do one line as a voiceover. And the director said, no, Sid, we don't need you. You can go to lunch. And Eddie turned round, looked at him and says, no, Sid, I need you standing there. And I watched that and I thought, God, that tells you so much about their relationship.
Perhaps what we all love best, though, is Muttley's trademark angry muttering. Legendary voice artist Don Messick beautifully imbues the mongrel with a frustrated, almost impotent fury whenever he's chastised by the dastardly Dick.
And this may be your last birthday, you dumbhead.
He's saying something incredibly rude, but you can't exactly tell what it is. Now, if I translate that, you'd have to be taken off the air.
Northern Housewives, Mrs. Sissy Braithwaite and Mrs. Ada Shufflebottom, comedy creations of Roy Barraclough and Les Dawson, hitched their boobs and flashed their bloomers in a series of sketches in the 1970s and 80s.
Well, I don't know where that came from, but I know where it's going. Your trouble is you're just crass, Ada. Absolutely crass.
Women's ailments were a very, very big part of the sketches.
I'm approaching the change.
Approaching the change? From which direction?
Most of the comedy I remember coming was not always from the sketches, but just from the looks they gave each other.
Which basically tells the audience this has got a double meaning that you probably haven't even thought about before, but I've just made that slightly smutty.
I wonder who sculpted it.
Whoever he was, he weren't short of clay, was he?
A recent stage play revived classic sketches and examined the friendship between Les and Roy.
Not only did the audience get to enjoy these wonderful sketches, but they got to see a bit of the wonderful bond that Les and Roy had.
And sometimes, actually, when you're creating a voice, it's useful to come up with a little descriptive words that sum up the voice. For example, not Mrs. Thatcher, but another voice. Take Maggie Smith in Downton Abbey. Maggie Smith in Downton Abbey, the underlying and consistent attitude is what I would call surprised indignation. You know that's really. And then what you do is you simply take a word, the way that Maggie Smith does, and repeat it. And really, and that's what it is. All the way in the majority of the style of Downton is sort of repeated indignation.
We can't really end without, I think, another great TV tradition, the weather forecast. So I'd like to end with tomorrow's weather forecast in, dare I say it, the inimitable voice of Mr. Kenneth Williams. Tomorrow, there will be thunder and lightning. The earth shall break in two, especially in Giggleswick. And indeed, there will be thunder and lightning. The earth shall break in two. There will be balls of fire from heaven. The rest of the day, warm with a few showers.
Your applause, please, for Steve Nallon.